Hey, so hi and good morning. Welcome everybody. So today we're just going to have sort of a little question and answer and discussion just for final class. I'm actually going to record one more class just with some reflections on the material, but just some personal reflections. But this is just sort of a question and answer for the end of Essence of True Eloquence. So let me just start with the Heart Sutra here. Okay. Homage to perfection, wisdom, the Blessed Mother. Thus I've heard at one time the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajgir in Mass Vulture's Mountain, together the great assembly of monks and nuns, the great assembly of bodhisattvas. That time the Blessed One was absorbed in the concentration of countless aspects of phenomena called profound illumination. That time also Srivalokshvara, the bodhisattva, the great being, was looking perfect, the practice of profound perfection of wisdom, looking perfectly also the five aggregates being empty and here in existence. Then through the power of Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Srivalokshvara, the bodhisattva, the great being, how should a son of the lineage trained who wishes to engage in the practice of profound professive wisdom? Thus he spoke, and Srivalokshvara, the bodhisattva, the great being, replied to Venerable Shariputra as follows. Shariputra, whatever son or daughter of the lineage wishes to engage in the practice of profound perfection of wisdom should look perfectly like this. Subsequently, perfectly and correctly, also the five aggregates being empty of inherent existence. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Emptiness is none other than form is none other than emptiness. Likewise, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, this all phenomena are emptiness having no characteristics. They are not produced and do not cease. They have no defilement, no separation from defilement. They have no decrease and no increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, and no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mentality, no form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no tactile object, no phenomenon. There is no I element and so forth, up to no mentality element, and also up to no element of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance, no exhaustion of ignorance, and so forth, up to no aging and death, no exhaustion of aging and death. Likewise, there's no suffering, origin, cessation, or path, no exalted awareness, no attainment, also no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there's no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and bind the perfection of wisdom. Their minds have no obstructions and no fear. Passing out beyond perversity, they attain the final nirvana. Also, all Buddhas reside perfectly 3 times, having relied upon the perfection of wisdom, became manifest complete Buddhas in state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the equal to the unequal mantra, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, since it's not false, should be known as the truth. Mantra of perfection of wisdom is proclaimed, Tayatam Gata Gata Paragata Parasam Gati Bodhisoha. Shariputra, bodhisattva, great beings, should train the profound perfection of wisdom like this. Then the Blessed One arose from that concentration and said to Srivalokshvara, the bodhisattva, the great being, that he'd spoken well. Good, O son of lineage, like that. Since it's like that, just as you have revealed, in that way the profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced, and the Tathagata will also rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Venerable Shariputra, Srivalokshvara, the bodhisattva, the great being, found a circle of disciples, as well as worldly beings, gods, humans, demigods, and spirits, who were delighted and highly praised what had been spoken by the Blessed. So I just thought also I'll just chant the Miksemi mantra, just asking for Tsongkhapa's blessings, just for our discussion here, just 3 times. Mig me se wei ter chen chen rei zi. Pri me ken pe wang po jam bel yang. Du pun ma lu jom se sang wei dan. Gan chen ke pe zu ken song kapa. Lo Sandra Pe Shabla So Wadem. Mig me se wei ter chen chen rezi. Dri me ken pe wang po cham pel yang. Du pun ma lu jom se sang wei dan. Gan chen ke pe sun ken song kapa. Lo sang tra pe sha bla so wa de. Big me se wei ter chen chen rei zi. Dri me ken pe wang po jam pel yang. Du pun ma lu chom se sang wei dan. Gan chen ke pe sun ken song kapa. Lo Sandra Pe Shabla So Wade. Okay, A little bit of blessing energy here. So just opening the floor. Any comments, questions, experiences? What do you think?
Hi, Matthew.
Hi, I'm Marina.
And everybody. Half the time when I come to these classes, I'm all confused and frustrated.
It's probably my fault anyway. Yeah.
But I looked at my notes this morning, and then I watched another class, the last one you gave, and a bit of another one. And the part that I liked the best, that made the most sense to me, was when you said something about the cheese on the cheeseburger. And and I thought about, I've been talking to Candace a fair bit in the past while, and she's talking about sticky relationships,
Yeah,
and sticky situations, and that really helped me too. And then the cheese on the cheeseburger is similar. And I'm just happy to say that through all the confusion and the oh my God, what's he talking about? Mm-hmm. And I don't know that person, and I don't know that person, and I don't know what he's, it's all kind of coming together in my mind to help me have a little bit better understanding of my perceptions of my difficult situations and relationships, and being able to just back up when I feel myself freaking out to, okay, this is how it's appearing to you, and this is how you're feeling. And especially with a relationship, with a difficult relationship with my sister, one of my sisters. And I recently had a visit with her, and I was able to just go, okay, stop, just walk away, and then come back, and get out of that sticky stuff, and just let her be who she is, and stop having opinions, and stop talking, and let her talk, and just listen. Doesn't matter if it makes sense. Doesn't matter if she's losing her mind, or saying things you don't like, or competing with you and you want to compete back. Like, just let it go. I'm very grateful for all the Dharma, and your classes, Matthew, help a lot. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Wonderful. And that I'm happy. Like in the end, all this stuff, we have to think of it. Atisha has that great line where, he's teaching in Tibet, 11th century. It's all newbies at his classes. They're all Tibetan. They're not Indian. None of them gone to school like he has. And again, some people know a bunch about Buddhism, this and that. And of course, Atisha always says the problem with Buddhism is, we've got, at the time he's teaching, about 1,500 years of the religion. Just say Christianity, Islam, or anything, you have all these teachings, and a lot of them are contradictory, self-contradictory, or they might be hard to try and figure out why they're relevant or how to apply them. And what he always says is beautiful. He says, ultimately, all the Dharma is therapeutic. Like, we have to see the Buddha as the doctor, the Dharma is the medicine, and the Sangha is kind of like the nurses and EMTs and paramedics and everyone at the hospital. And so all of this stuff, whatever we're studying together, at the end of the day, it's not as much as I try and make it so, it's not a philosophy class. It's not about even learning facts about the world as much. It's about therapy. It's about relieving suffering. So that's at the end, like what Buddha famously said, people would ask him all these questions, metaphysical questions and religious questions. And he'd always say, all my doctrine, whatever it is, however complicated you want to make it, anything is about one thing only, which is about relieving suffering, And on the other side of that, finding joy and bliss, right? So that's beautiful. And so any of this stuff, if it helps you, like sticky situations, when you think about it, when we're talking philosophy here, we're trying to think what really exists, what's inherently existing, what truly exists. But on a practical level, when we're dealing with bad relationships in our life, codependent relationships or suffering relationships, you see that that's an issue even in that. Stickiness is, when you think about it, when we're stuck or we have all these codependent relationships or investments in our relationships, so much of it is we all have them, especially with family. so much of it is grasping and craving and clinging to things, right? Um, and that's what's producing the suffering. But that's based on a fundamental ignorance where we think things are way more real than they are, right? So that's amazing, Maureen. That you see, like if you apply it just even on that level, how helpful this stuff is. Like at the end of the day, it has to be therapeutic like this. It's not just about proving something right or having a philosophy. It's like, what's the practical effects in your life for relieving suffering and making you happier, right? Um, I guess the thing is when you study people like Nagarjuna and Tsongkhapa, they want to show that this applies to everything. Like basically right down to the bottom. So it's suffering in every respect can be alleviated. Ultimately, even the suffering, true sufferings of old age, suffering, and death. So we might be just stuck with working on issues in relationships, codependent problems and stuff, or suffering problems with family dynamics or trauma, this or that. But in the end, even all the sufferings in the world, even old age, suffering, and death, can be alleviated, removed by wisdom, in particular wisdom, realizing the emptiness of things. So thank you. Very, very, very good. Mm-hmm. Yes.
My question is much more philosophical, as a matter of fact. Every time I hear, learn, reflect on emptiness, I just cannot just put together karma and emptiness. I have a terrible problem with that. Yeah. Karma is so. I used to be a Catholic, so at least you could be forgiven for what you've done, and it's pretty wonderful. You started anew, and it was okay. In certain Buddhist practices, I feel it very much with the 5 dakinis, for instance, because to my mind, Om are home. This is something, to me, it's the most important. It gets me to another level. And there is some kind of not forgiveness, but it's not forgiveness, but the beauty of, I'm back to Chud. The beauty of Chud is that you do transform all those demons and ghosts into spirits. So you do have this fantastic, not only forgiveness, but transforming into something good what was bad before. So would that be the solution to my question about emptiness on one side and karma on the other?
Definitely, yes. And so it's precisely because things don't have true existence or any kind of substance that they're completely plastic or flexible, right? You're able to edit everything right down to the bottom. Nothing stands in the way. There's no indivisible remainder. Things divide all the way through, like in a mathematical division. There's nothing left over. There is no true existence. There's no kernel of substance to anything. So again, the positive and negative side, in the sense that we use that critical side because our suffering comes from thinking there is something substantial, unchanging, right? Like my ideas, my views are always right. They never change. I'm the one that has all the ideas, like whatever, the truth in the world, or that person is always already a total prick. I hate the guy. Everyone should hate him, whatever, blah, blah, blah. There's no way he would ever be anything different than he is, which is a jerk. All of our kind of perceptions are based on this idea of grasping at true existence. So meditation emptiness removes that. That's kind of like the negative critique, you should say. But at the same time, the positive critique going up, one thing's sort of dividing down, the other arrow goes up, which is that if everything's plastic, everything's creative, everything can be rewritten, right? Everything can be transformed. So with the idea of God demons, like we can make those into allies or Buddhas. Why can we do this? How is that possible? It's because things are empty. Now, what's the grammar of rewriting things? Like basically the grammar of rewriting things is our karma, right? That's what allows us to create. So if we have a blank canvas, What allows us to make art are our paints and our brush. Like the limitations of that, we can do anything, but what we have to use to create something beautiful is the art material. So for us, that's our body, speech, and mind, how we manifest energy or reality. And karmically, according to our vows, right? It's just cause and effect. We've created reality through our behavior, the way it is now, through our self-cherishing mind, self-grasping mind. Well, now we're going to rewrite everything according to a pure perception of emptiness, a pure wisdom. Everything we do, we're doing with love. Everything we're doing with compassion. Everything we're doing is with a sense of ethics, let's say. And that's what creates the reality we want to live in. So that's what's beautiful about that is, oftentimes when we're learning emptiness, we're just focusing on the negative critical thing. Why? Because we're trying to remove the suffering based on our grasping mind that we think things are unchanging and truly existent. So we have to give the negative critique to that to start. But the point is, once you've cleared everything off, it's like a dirty kitchen. You walk in, you have to cook this big banquet, but the last people that use the kitchen, everything's filthy. So it's like, okay, I have to make this incredible birthday cake for the party tonight, but what do I have to do? I spend the next 3 hours cleaning the kitchen with all the garbage, and everything's perfect. Now I start from scratch. Like now I've got a clean kitchen. Now I can make this incredible birthday cake that everybody enjoys. So, right? So those are the two kinds of how we use emptiness, like both in sort of a negative critical way, but also in a positive creative way, right? So you see this with chud. On one level, it's about cutting, right? Cutting your self-cherishing mind, cutting your fear based on your grasping at and hearing existence. That's the negative critical thing. Anytime you're suffering, cut, cut, cut. But the positive thing is always having that affirmative attitude of transforming everything. And from a chud point of view, it's like whatever I see as ugly, I'm going to approach it and love it and accept it with an open heart. That's more of the positive creative quality to it, right? So that's why we have Tantra, like in a lot of ways, why we're showing emptiness and karma going together like this is we're going to sort of clear the way of all the garbage almost on a sutric level, and then we're going to create something new and beautiful, like as creative art on a tantric level, right? And it's the same process. And that's why we say Je Tsongkhapa is such a beautiful thinker and saint, because he's showing the unity of Sutra and Tantra. They're not separate, right? They're not separate. The more I'm a good person, even on a sutric level, the more my appearances in my life, my mind will become pure and things will start looking blissful, even on a sutric level, which that alone is the bridge to higher tantric realizations, right? That's the point why we study this kind of stuff. So essence of true eloquence, like at the end of the day, when you read famous book here, what does Tsongkhapa want to get at with that? It's at the end you want to arrive at the middle way, consequentialist or Madhyamika Prasangika way, which is sort of the ultimate view for Tantra. And that's that things are, what he says, nominally existent, right? It's nominalism. Things exist by name alone, which means it's how we think and talk about things with the words we use, the concepts we use. That's what creates reality. So how are we going to create, like art's basically life is like a beautiful book you're writing, beautiful painting you're doing. All this is done through language and words, right? And that's when you look at what is a sadhana, when we're doing that, we're reading that. How do I arise as a deity from a mantra, from a vibration, right? The fact that that's possible, that has any sort of effect in our life, how it can work, and when we're working with Tantra, you see that it works. It's because things are just nominally existent. So it's interesting that there's two things, again, that I like to say, like from Essence of True Eloquence. One, again, is the creative idea. It's through, like Heidegger says, a language is the house of being capital B, how it rests is it in through the words and thoughts that we use. So that's, again, there's the critical side of that. But, I should say that's the positive side. We're creating things through how we think and talk about the world and talk about existence. But I always like Tsongkhapa's thing is that if we're looking at emptiness as a non-affirming negative, everything's always about letting go, right? Like it's not about coming up with metaphysics, ideas, ideologies, doctrines, religions. Just our everyday language is enough. Just how we think and talk about the world's enough. You don't need any explanation. Just be a good person. Follow your vows and everything will become pure. You don't need an explanation or big metaphysics around that. So that's how I've always seen that, is it's almost a very Zen way of like a Zen conclusion to Tsongkhapa's work, which is really, really beautiful. And some people since this book have criticized it. Oh, it's too nihilistic because you're not giving us a theory of things, a theory of emptiness. You're not giving us a big metaphysics. You're not talking more mind-only stuff. But if you actually look at it, it's very, very wise, just as he said, to leave conventional reality as it is. No explanations needed. Words work. Thoughts work. You can do anything with them. That's enough. That's very, very subtle, very, very beautiful. So that's, to me, when they say this book is the steel bow, hard to pull the bow, but when you let go, pshoo, the arrow goes really, really far and powerful. It's because of that.
Okay.
Yeah, Sharon?
Yeah, I just wanted to put a little bit in here, and thank you for all that. I feel like, you know, it's kind of going in and if I don't put some part of me ahead that says, where does this go, and put it in some kind of category and that, to understand it and remember it. If I don't do that, if I just kind of stay on the periphery and let it come in, I'm better off. And okay, just first of all, I just want to say I'm really thankful for your example of your devotion from all these places where you've been, and yet you're recording, and we see you there, this human being who cares about us and our group. And so that, just having that inspiration helps. And I'm not sure if this is it's not meant to be offensive at all. Yeah, I was a teacher, I'm mostly kindergarten. But I find that some kids, they need to be moving. If they sit still, it's just like too much. And I think I'm a little a bit of that. And I found sometimes if I put your teachings on and I'm just in the kitchen, I've got this plan and I'm making this soup or something, I seem to be able to get out of the way enough to be on the periphery. And I'm not sure if I could say verbatim all the logical parts, because I think I might have something against too much logic. Although I love all the mention of, I love your historical references, like to Heidegger and the person in that, because it's brings everything together in some way. So I guess what I'm saying is, I just really trust from all the practice and from the Heart Sutra that it is going in there. And if I keep out of the way enough, if I stay on the periphery enough, I can just feel like thankful about that. Okay.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And again, whatever works helps. Like just however, you know, a lot of times it's like this where, well, two things, like you'll get like it's kind of karmic, right? Like what's important to you, what's relevant to you will stay with you. It'll come through, which is good. And again, however that works, like some people have told me, oh, they listen to it walking the dog or kind of before bed or whatever helps. And again, I'm not the best teacher, as sometimes I'm sure I'm quite confusing and whatever, but I've always hoped that the last few years that I've done this, if even a little bit of what I say is helpful for your Dharma practice, and great. Like I do this just from an open heart, you know, no money, whatever, like just no fame, obviously, you know, very few people watch these videos. So the point's just like, any of this little wisdom that we create together comes through and is helpful, then totally it's been worth it. It's been excellent that way. And again, I like that idea where you're just on the periphery, that, you know, the things we have to do to sort of get out of our way, to get out of our ego, to allow this stuff to come through. like, Claude's mentioned chud, like, Rinpoche always says that when you're doing chud, what gets you out of the way is the drumming, right? That puts you into trance and kind of gets rid of your regular worldly mind. So a lot of times I think a lot of the stuff in particular with Tantra is very good for that, where you have the music and visualizations. All of these are almost like quote unquote shamanic techniques trying to activate your energy body, but also to get rid of your normal, very discursive intellectual mind, which is holding you back, right? So that's good. I'm glad. I'm very, very happy. Very sweet. Thank you. So anything else, or do you want to just, it's been a nice discussion. Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, we can sort of wrap it up for here. There'll be more classes. I'm going to just, when we're done this, I'll send out an email and see where people would like to go next. I kind of feel that in some ways, I just wanted to end at least a lot of the sutric stuff on this note. The importance of studying emptiness and the unity of emptiness and karma, to show, again, just the big thing is you'll see, if you come to the conclusion that we can create the world we create just through our words and thoughts, then we can create a new world. And that's the whole point of Tantra. And so even if you have a little bit of that idea, then it's like you're ready to get into tantric practice and really believe that it works. You won't be holding yourself back with doubts. And then the moment you start practicing, like anything else, because language works, words and thoughts work, you'll, in your own personal life, I'm preaching the converted here because all you guys practice, but if you don't practice Tantra, when you start practicing it, the proof's in the pudding. It's just like going to the gym. You'll feel better, you'll be in better health, you'll be in better shape. Just, hey, going to the gym once a week, all of a sudden, oh my goodness, I can't believe how much better I feel and how much better I look. Same thing with doing Tantra. So I feel kind of like the next chapter is for us to study that together, just wherever that ends up looking. So I'll be in touch with everybody and see where people would like to go for that, in discussion for that. Okay. So how about we end it there? And I always like ending, I'm going to send a little class just on a few reflections of this, but I always think it's nice to, my first teacher again, Kelsing Turchin, it was an old Tibetan thing. He would, Rinpoche doesn't formally do this, but my first teacher, 30 years ago, would do this very formally, is he'd always leave everything unfinished on purpose to create the karma of doing it again, because you would be like, in your mind, oh, we have to come back to that book because we only got halfway through it. Or, we didn't get this done, so in the future we'll have to come back. So he would always be cutting everything short, including funny, like halfway through something, he'd stop like half sentence and go, okay, that's enough, we're done. Kind of weird, but it kind of left everything unfinished and you'd be excited to come back to it the following week. So how about we leave things unfinished here a little bit so we can come back to these again and again in the years to come. Okay, so let's just dedicate this by the blessings of all holy beings, the truth of karma, however pure spirit intention and Dharma wishes be fulfilled. And may we really have the karma and devotion and merit to really learn the lessons from this book and from Tsongkhapa's writing, that we again put it into practice for pragmatic and therapeutic results, that in our personal lives we find the bliss and emptiness that we're so much wanting to experience. Okay, thank you. I'll just press stop here.